Marcus, you were somewhere last night.
Yeah. So on a more serious note,
Me and Marcus were somewhere.
yeah,
Don't exclude me.
Yeah, Johnny was there also. I was gonna say
Jonathan was there.
Jonathan. Jonathan was there.
Jonathan.
Okay, so
Jonathan was there, but Johnny wasn't.
Jonathan showed up. He's more ethical. He's the one who has manners.
I'm here.
Johnny comes out when he's like drinking a little bit more. Okay, no, but seriously, on a more serious note, so yeah, we were somewhere, as many people know, and hopefully the people that are watching this, and if you don't know, you're about to be informed. The state of American society has like really like made like a turn. It's not necessarily a turn for the worse, because this is shit that's been going on throughout history as long as America has been established, as long as it's been a thing.
There's a lot of tension right now.
Yeah.
What are you doing, America? America? What are you doing?
Yeah, America.
The fuck?
Well, we're making a change.
Yeah. Yeah.
From,
So
from
So this all-
America
if you guys-
to America.
So the thing is, so recently, I mean, there's a bunch of cases of police brutality throughout our history, but more recently, there's cases with George Floyd and Deion Johnson, who were both unjustly murdered by law enforcement officials. And I really just have been noticing it's kind of like an awakening where people are like deciding to actually make a stand. And there's been plenty of protests before in the past, but I was telling Johnny last night that it seems like this is the first time where everybody kind of equally is like has just had enough. Like everyone's done at this point, and it seems to be equally spread throughout the United States, not just one specific state. It's just everybody is kind of just fed up at this point.
I've even excuse me. I've even seen other countries like paying respects.
Yeah,
Was it Germany?
that was
It was
crazy.
Germany.
Yeah.
It was Germany. Yeah, they were chanting Black Lives Matter, which was amazing. Good for them. It's crazy how other countries
Are
can-
supporting
yeah.
the U.S.
You know, one thing I don't know is it just America that's kind of like this, or is it other countries that are similar to America with, I guess, this much racism?
As far as like what the starting up, it's what's been going on in America, but that's not to say it hasn't been going on around.
yeah,
the
like how
world.
are other countries compared to us?
Well, I'm sure there's racism everywhere, but
Everywhere,
the thing is, the thing about the United States is it's supposed to pride itself on the land of the free, where everybody's treated justly and is supposed to be treated equally. And the fact is that
That just is not the case.
the United States government, I don't want to say hates minorities, but they really like single them out. Like once I was just thinking about it this morning, actually, like when's the last time the United States government has made a law that actually is in favor of minority communities, that's in favor of black people, that's in favor of Mexicans, that's in favor of Native Americans, that helps them out in any way? Because the only thing that I could think of was probably like the end of segregation. But as of recently, you got tighter immigration laws.
Yep.
You know, it wasn't long ago that Arizona had there was the proposition, some fucking number where you could literally get pulled over if your skin was a certain
Yeah.
color,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
saw that as reason enough to pull you over to see if you were
If you had
illegal. Yeah, to see if you had papers.
Yep.
And it's just it's fucked up. Like the laws of this country are really meant to like keep minorities down, people of color down, black people down, Mexicans down, Native Americans down, everyone who isn't the larger majority, white people, Caucasians, they're all meant to stay down. And it's real tragic, especially when you see like, look, the thing with like police is that they make an oath to, you know, maintain and keep the peace, and, you know, make sure that justice is served, and, you know, people are safe. But that's not
That's
a fucking
not what we
thing.
saw last night.
Yeah, like, dude, I saw a fucking video not too long ago. This guy got turned over got pulled over for a fucking turn signal failure to fucking turn a signal.
signals, yeah.
And the cop pulled up to his window with his gun already drawn. It was a black man. He was just driving, didn't turn on his turn signal, and the cop showed up to his window with his gun already drawn. And like the guy recorded the video. He's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, he's like, this is what you do? He's like, I was doing, like, I get it. Like, I didn't like use my turn signal, but you come to my window already? Like, do you, like, you're like so out of touch that you really came up to a black man's window with your gun already drawn. Like, don't you know what the fuck's going on in this country? And it's crazy because although it's just insane. Like
It seems like they like have almost like, you know, like they're like power hungry, and like it like some that they may have mental, you know, mental disorders. Like they could have anger problems.
So
you know, and I wonder how well they're like monitoring that. You know, like looking over.
So okay. So the thing is, I think as far as like being a law enforcement officer, it's not as like the process of recruiting people isn't as tight as like we think it is. Like I was telling Johnny last night that I think because a lot of people are pushing for, you know, police reform and law enforcement reform, which, look, the thing is, we're not the reality is the whole fucking system isn't just gonna be like up and like redone and oh shit, I need to plug in my fucking laptop. Yeah, no, I'm at like 5%. sorry. But
Just go ahead, Marcus.
there we go. Yeah, that's being unrealistic. But I think one of the biggest things that we can do, and I'm sure it's a lot easier said than done, but I do think it's very smart, and I would like to see it, is if we made mandatory regular psychological tests, if we required law enforcement officials to take them regularly and make them mandatory, because when becoming a law enforcement officer, you undergo a psychological test at the beginning when they're being recruited, but it's like the test doesn't determine whether or not you're insane, whether you're sane or you're insane. Like it doesn't determine whether you have the right like mental mindset. It's more so a fucking like personality test that determines whether this is the fucking right career path for you. But it's like it doesn't determine whether somebody is mentally fit to fucking do the job. And like, you know, as things go on, like I'm sure you do like you do go through background checks whenever your weapon's discharged and shit like that. But I would like to see an actual test where maybe you take it every year, every 6 months. It's regular, because as you know, you go on in your career, there have been tests and studies that show when people are given positions of power that they eventually end up abusing that power. They go into it with the right mindset, but it's a matter of time before they begin to abuse it. And so I think if we release these tests, you know, we had them created not by government officials, but maybe by outside professional psychologists, and we get like a group of them to devise like come up with this test where, you know, all the questions are different. Maybe they swap out the questions, maybe they reword them every year, every time the test needs to be taken, and have these law enforcement officers take them. Because as time goes on, you know, I imagine that in the career, it's not like I'm not gonna be like, oh, their fucking job's easy, because it's not. It's a very difficult job. But they just need to be monitored more, because
more closely.
Yeah, because there's no like, okay, this officer, right, that killed George Floyd, he had 12 prior cases of police brutality. Before this, 12 prior.
There's no discipline against him.
Yeah, no disciplinary actions were taken against him. There's no fucking excuse why that should fucking be a thing. How did you let that fucking slip through the cracks, dude? Like what, you know, like there's no reason why he should have still had his job. And as for the other 3 officers that were with him, like disciplinary action needs to be taken against them. Like, and it needs to be more than just like a slap on the wrist. Like, if you unlawfully kill someone, why aren't you being charged as a fucking murderer like anybody else would be? You know, a fucking badge is basically a pass to fucking kill someone these days. Like, it's sad, like, and it's fucked up. And I, like, you know, I clearly, along with many other people, are just sick of it at this point.
Yeah, and right now there's like no real way to like like if you feel a cop is like doing something like terrible, you can't fight back, or else they'll
like,
just
you
do
can't do
worse
shit.
things to you.
So okay, so me and Johnny went to the protest last night, and it was good. I mean, there was definitely like some agitators there, you know, people that were enticing violence, but the larger group did a pretty good job at like trying to shut that shit down, you know. Like whenever there was people like acting up, they're like people were real quick to say like, hey, like that's not why we're here. If that's why you think we're here, you know, you're not with us. You can fucking leave.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, like they made it very clear that like, okay, you know, like, yeah, we understand that there's riots going out in other places, which
we were more there to make a statement than we were to.
Yeah, and like and I understand the riots thing, but that's like a whole nother conversation. I can get into that for fucking days, but yeah, like that's not why we were there. Like, you know, it was really just people like trying to protest, and it was honestly like really, really nice. But
I feel like it was just more people there just that like share their voice and their concerns and like their support with Minnesota.
yeah.
Are
Well,
there gonna be more-
Deion Johnson's out here in Arizona.
I was just talking about more of like
Who's that?
the riots. And stuff.
So Deion Johnson was another black man that was murdered in I guess a routine traffic stop, but nothing's been released. His family still doesn't fucking know anything about what's happened to him.
Wow.
And look, it may be given that information, obviously, you know, we can't really come to like, we can't jump to conclusions like maybe there was a struggle, maybe there wasn't. I don't know, but the fact that his family doesn't know anything about this, and the government and the police kind of just have it like held under wraps, isn't right. Like whether he did something or not, they should at least have the right to know what happened to their family member, who this son, this father, you know, he could have been many things, you know. The fact is like he had a family, and it's fucked up that, you know, he had his life taken away and everybody is like left in the dark about it. But yeah, it was, as for last night, it was really cool. But going back to what you were saying, Patrick, about
Oh, real quick. Are
Yeah.
there going to be more protests?
well, there's one
Tonight.
going on tonight.
Mm.
Yeah, there should be one going. Honestly, I hope they keep going. I hope they keep going because I don't want this to just be a trend. And what I've been seeing is that people are really just sick and fed up at this point. So I hope it keeps going until actual change like comes. Like I hope people continue to go out and protest. But to go back to what you were saying about like when people see something that's being done, like they're not able to do anything about it. When me and Johnny went to this protest last night, it was kind of early on in the night. We just had like our group wasn't as big as it eventually was, but we were walking down this street, and there was a line of just a bunch of officers in their riot gear with their shields and everything, and we're literally just going up like chanting, like nobody was like breaking out in violence, like no, like it was people chanting, posted. It wasn't even a large group. And we're passing by this building, and I didn't even think twice about it. It had to be like some type of like government building, because I hear a bunch of yelling, and I look over, and it's just 3 officers just like tackling this kid. And Johnny saw more, so I mean I just caught like the back end of it. What did you see?
Yeah, so I didn't see anything until it was like too late. They already got the guy, or not just, it was just a protester. And I was 15 feet away from him. I was super, super close to the situation. And I was looking, and like in front of me, there's just a line of, I want to say like they're in riot gear and stuff, just officers lined up across the street, end to end. And then we're really close to this building. I'm not sure what the building was, but there was officers hiding in it, and they ambushed us and got one of the protesters. And like just the way they went about it was insane. Like we were peaceful. We were chanting. Yes, we were approaching the line like slowly, but we weren't doing it in an aggressive manner, you know. And the first thing the officer says is, "Get on the ground, motherfucker." and tases the dude. And
Fuck.
like they snuck up on us, so like I didn't see what happened until the guy was already tasting on the ground.
Yeah.
And then we all
And it was 3 officers just on one guy, and then literally like
was
right
crazy, dude.
right in that moment, you know, everybody like saw that happening, and they start shooting like rubber bullets at us, and they start like popping the gas, and so we all ran. And then it was crazy. Like at one point in the night, we were all outside of the Talking Stick arena, and the whole crowd was just like either sitting or kneeling. Some people were standing, but it was mostly people like kneeling. And then there was a couple people with megaphones, and they were like chanting stuff. You know, they were like telling the people like, hey, you know, we're here to like make a statement. You know, we're here to, you know, show support. We're here because we want change. We're here because we want justice, blah, 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 blah. And we're all there, and we're just kneeling like quietly. And like, you know, whenever they're like, oh, like, what do we want? Justice. That's when we would chant and shit. But out of nowhere, we just see another line of just of officers come around a corner and all their riot gear, and they just start fucking popping the smoke, just shooting fucking rubber bullets into the fucking crowd. Me and Johnny end up taking off, and all of a sudden we see like these fucking fires breaking out, and like one of them was on this construction site where nobody could.
There was no one there.
Nobody had access to. But whenever they pop like these, like, I don't even know what it is, like sparks fly off them. And so, like, right in the moment, like, I caught that, and I was like, yo, like, they're over here, like, fucking popping this shit. They're causing these fucking fires. Watch. They're going to put this shit on this crowd that didn't do fucking shit. It was just crazy because, like, these people, for the most part, like, weren't doing anything. Like, I probably saw maybe, like, 3 cases of, like, people, like, acting out. And, again, like, they were kicked out super quick. But that was probably the most peaceful that we were that night, because the rest of it we were just like moving around. But that time we were just kneeling, not really doing anything, and they were just like agitating the crowds. They just were fucking like like really trying to like inflict fear into the crowd and like get everyone out of there.
But towards the end of the night, we were in a crowd of like 500 to 600 people. It was insane.
Yeah.
And at first, I wouldn't say that there was even more than 100 when we first got there.
Mm-hmm.
So it grew really fast, and we definitely got to see a lot.
And it was cool because obviously like a lot of like traffic was held up.
Yeah.
But the neat part about it is whenever you like looked at like these cars, they're honking, and it's not because they wanted us to get out the way. They're honking. They have their fists raised out their window,
Yeah,
or
that's
like they were like bumping "fuck the police." At one point, like when we were like trying to like walk around the city, there was people in their own cars driving up to block police officers so that we could keep moving the other way, and so they wouldn't like. It was just sick. It was like,
Which is even more risky for them because they could just like they have their car and stuff.
Yeah,
You know?
you just fucking leave it.
Yeah, but it was really cool to see. I just wish it was more organized. Hopefully the next ones will be. I don't know how tonight will be, but I'm sure as the week goes on, there will be a little bit more organization behind them. But it was cool. It was definitely nice to see. It was my first protest, and I felt like it was a good one. Like I said, I've had enough. And it's just about
I
like
think we've all had enough.
yeah, and
Just everyone.
and like the thing is like I was like thinking about it, and like, you know, there comes a point where there like needs to be change, and I was just thinking about, I'm like, damn, like what side of history do I want to be on? Do I want to be on the side that, you know,
Watched it on
TV, or that went out and did something? You
Yeah.
know, I heard a quote in a song today, and you know, it took it a little too far, but I liked the overall message of it. It said, you know, do you want to live on your knees or die on your feet? And I was like, yo, like that's a good one. It's basically saying like, yo, like, are you gonna fight for something, or are you just gonna like surrender and just let shit fucking, you know, just
be trampled on.
yeah, get walked on. So I was like, yo, like for sure.
I think me and Marcus were in mid conversation, and I was just thinking that, like, you know, the saying like violence is never the answer.
Yeah.
Well, like in this case, like we don't have, like when it did get out, like kind of out of hand and stuff, you know, especially in Minnesota, you know, sometimes that is the only thing that, it's not maybe the right answer, but it's the only answer that we can, like the only other thing we can go to, because nothing else is working, you know.
It's like the only way to be heard, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I took like a sociology class, and like there is such thing as like
pack mentality.
like pack mentality. It's not referred to as like a mob mentality. It's called collective behavior, and eventually, you know, that can lead to riots. But the thing is, like, although, yeah, I don't personally, I wouldn't do it, but I do understand like the logic behind it, because look, we've had protests before, and it was the same thing for Malcolm X when he saw that, look, like doing these like quiet peaceful protests, they see us, but they're not listening to us. They're not actually acknowledging us. So I think that's what's going on over there. It's people that have done protests already, and then they're like, yo, we're protesting, and it's the same bullshit all the fucking time. You know, how do we really get their fucking attention so that they wake the fuck up and make a fucking change? And so that's when people like resort to rioting. And yeah, they have every fucking right to be pissed off. We all fucking do. Like, why the fuck why the fuck since the beginning of the United States is there still fucking racism, especially within our government? Like, why, like, dude, like we're over here feeding lies to the youth by, like, you know, putting in history books that, like, oh, segregation and shit ended, and, you know, biases within our government ended, and, like, you know, with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and fucking Rosa Parks and shit like that. But the fact is, that's not fucking true, because, like, yeah, we have more freedoms, but if you get scared when a fucking cop pulls you over, that's not fucking free. That's terrorism. Like, that's what I was saying last night. I'm like, dude, like, they're coming over and they're literally like terrorizing the masses. That's what fucking terrorism is. Like, you know, that's the definition of it. There's no fucking way to, like, you know, sugarcoat it. Like, that's what they're fucking doing.
I think one good thing is that we can really see that the younger generations are not going to stand for this any longer.
Mhm.
So, you know, the United States is pretty young. It's only, what, like 200 years old?
Mm-hmm.
That's only like 3 people ago. You know?
It's like 3 people ago, bro.
Is it
Ago.
Three
though?
generations.
It's like 3 generations. It's
Yeah.
like 3 people ago.
I'd say 4 or 5.
I don't know. My grandparents are still alive, and they were born in like
People don't last that long.
I say like 4 or 5, maybe
that-
6 generations.
they were like
But
born
yeah,
in,
you're right.
They
Like,
were born in the 20s.
It's super young, and we're
It's really
still
young,
working out the
but
kinks.
you know, the people who are in charge, they're old as fuck. So they still have all that shit going on in their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, all that racism, and it, like, you know, it trickles down.
Oh yeah, like my grandma, she grew up like around when, you know, racism was still very, very relevant.
Especially, yeah, and when you're growing up around it, it definitely imprints on you. You know,
Yeah.
those are your formative years. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be with you for like the rest of your life, unless you like work to get those things out.
Yeah. And like
a lot of these people in power are like, they're
Still racist.
still racist
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they have power,
right.
and
Oh,
now they're
fuck.
using their power to fucking.
It
Just
might
do
take
it.
a whole nother generation to
Yeah.
forget the racism, basically.
It's gotten a lot better, definitely.
I think we're definitely on a trend. I don't know, in another 100, 200 years, I think racism will be a very small problem.
Yeah.
But, you know, these are the steps. These are the steps that we have to take to get there.
And
We'll
then,
we'll be racist against clones by then.
Or androids.
Oh,
Yeah, or
fuck
androids.
them.
Yeah.
Nah, they don't have the rights I have.
and then that's when classism is gonna be the biggest issue.
What's classism?
That's
Well,
a
like-
that's
oh,
a
like
that's a
like
whole nother
rich,
conversation.
middle class,
poor,
lower
yeah,
class.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you're poor, you're going to steal from
Yeah,
them.
I think
that-
that's definitely gonna be even worse.
Yeah,
at that point.
that's a whole nother fucking thing.
Yeah, but we just wanted to give our 2 cents because we like this is this is history. This is
Yeah, and the thing is, like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, maybe we don't have a large audience, but, you know, we are making our way into having a platform. And, you know, when you have a platform and you're not saying anything about issues, like, that's just as wrong as, you know.
Everyone should be talking about
Yeah,
this now.
everybody should be
Absolutely.
aware. Everybody
Whether
should be
there's
talking about
5 people listening or hundreds of thousands of people listening.
So-
we would be doing a disservice if we didn't use this as a way to get.
it. We
we
we're
have
like-
to use our free speech.
Yeah.
It's the
So
most powerful thing we have.
that's all.